Imagine a Bitcoin miner ignoring the next block and instead trying to mine the previous one again. It sounds absurd. Why reach back into the past? Because the past, rewritten, can be more profitable than the future. This attack is called fee sniping, and a quiet wallet setting called nLockTime is what keeps it from paying off. First, a refresher. Miners earn two things per block. The subsidy, currently around 3.125 Bitcoin in freshly minted coins, plus the fees attached to transactions they include. Meanwhile, the mempool, the global waiting room of unconfirmed transactions, is constantly churning. New transactions arrive every second, some carrying much higher fees than others. So a miner's revenue depends not just on solving the block, but on which transactions they pack inside it. Now they attack. Say the chain tip sits at block 100,000. A rational miner has a choice. Option 1, mine block 100,001, the normal next block. Option 2, ignore the tip and instead remine block 100,000, building a competing version with a different transaction set drawn from today's mempool. If today's mempool happens to contain juicier, higher fee transactions than were available when 100,000 was originally mined, that alternate block earns more. The miner is essentially time-traveling fees backward, scooping up revenue that didn't exist yet when the original block was found. Why does this matter beyond the miner's wallet? Because remining the tip is a reorg, short for reorganization, where the network discards the existing block and accepts a new one in its place. Reorgs undermine the assumption that recent confirmations are stable. If fee sniping becomes routine, every freshly confirmed transaction becomes a candidate for being reversed. The whole settlement guarantee weakens. Why isn't this happening right now? The subsidy, 3.125 Bitcoin, dwarfs typical fee revenue, which often runs a tiny fraction of that. Skipping the next block's subsidy to gain a little extra fee income is a losing trade. Fee sniping today is theoretical, unprofitable in practice, but that arithmetic is changing. So how do wallets quietly disarm this attack? With a single transaction field called nLockTime. nLockTime specifies the earliest block height at which a transaction is valid. Set it to 500 and the transaction cannot be mined into any block before height 500. Originally designed for delayed payments and contracts, modern wallets repurpose it. They set nLockTime equal to the current tip plus 1, the very next block. So if the tip is 100,000, your transaction's nLockTime is 100,001. Here's the elegant part. Under normal conditions, this changes nothing. Your transaction was going into block 100,001 anyway, so requiring height 100,001 is invisible. But now picture the attacker remining block 100,000. They try to grab your high fee transaction from the mempool and stuff it into their alternate block. Consensus rejects it. The transaction is not yet valid at height 100,000. The juiciest fees in the mempool, the ones broadcast since the tip was found, are off limits to anyone trying to rewrite the past. The fee incentive for shallow reorgs evaporates. Some nuance: this defense does not prevent reorgs in general. Miners can still rewrite blocks. It only removes the fee bonus from the most recently broadcast wave of transactions, which is exactly the slice an attacker would want. And wallets only apply anti-fee sniping when nLockTime isn't already being used for something else, like payment channels, vaults, or other time-locked contracts. Otherwise, normal users see no change in confirmation time. Now zoom out, Bitcoin subsidy halves every 4 years. In 2012, it was 50 Bitcoin per block. Today, 3.125. By 2040, well under 1. Eventually, the subsidy approaches 0 and fees become the entire security budget. That's the moment fee sniping shifts from theoretical to tempting. Today's defense is preemptive, built into wallets now so the protocol is ready when the incentives flip. Anti-fee sniping is one line of what it called defending a future that hasn't arrived. Bitcoin's robustness isn't one big mechanism, it's a quiet collection of small defensive defaults, each guarding against a specific way the system could break.